Coach, we'll start with you. If you can just give us an opening statement on just sort of getting to Atlanta and the transition into bowl week and how preparations are going so far.
Yeah, thank you. Had an opportunity, I think, right after our last game to get a couple light practices, kind of keep guys in the swing of things in that championship week where we thought we'd have a chance to maybe be playing in a top-level bowl. The guys responded great. A year ago, we went to a bowl scenario. I think people questioned the way we're going to play. We practiced well. We've had great practices again this year. So a lot of respect for our leadership, our top guys. We've had good practices. Got in here Sunday. Yesterday was a late start. We're kind of now into Tuesday of game week and had some great prep and looking forward to a great challenge on Saturday.
All right, CJ, next for you. Just talk about kind of the event last night and getting settled into bowl week. What were your thoughts on the event at the Hall of Fame last night?
It's been a blessing to be down here playing for a national championship. So it's been a goal of mine since I got to school. And last night was fun. Kind of just let things loose and just really enjoyed the time with your brothers. And then playing against them was fun. It was just it was competitive at the same time. It was hard. It wasn't very competitive like you would think. So it was just having fun, and it was a good time. So.
All right, Emeka, how about you? You guys dropped the first one, but you came back strong in the second event, and were tied at 1-1.
Yeah, last night was definitely fun. Just happy to be down here, spending time with my brothers, and getting the team camaraderie going, and kind of just not forgetting what an accomplishment it is to be here. But obviously we're very focused and tuned in on this game, so we're locked in for a good practice today and putting it all on the field on Saturday.
All right, thanks, gentlemen. Okay, we'll go ahead and open it up for questions now. Please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. Remember to give your name and your affiliation and to whom you're asking the question. We'll start right over here on the second row.
Griffin Stroman, Living Warriors. Coach Wilson, I'm just wondering how much different has your role in the game plan and things like that been, or has it been different at all since obviously taking on the new job here in the last month?
Coach was pretty with the calendar. After our last game, it was a dead recruiting week until Friday. So as coaches, we were in, kind of looking at potentially ahead, looking at how we just played and kind of reviewing the year. Had a couple light workouts with our guys just to kind of keep them in tune because we felt we could be playing in this game, and we knew that team was practicing that week, so we didn't want to go out after the season, have hard prep, but just keep our guys sharp and on edge. And then we spent through the recruiting cycle. In my situation, I was gone a little bit, but we have probably spent more time game planning as we wrapped up the recruiting cycle and everything going on, and probably are farther ahead. We've been through our game plan several times. Now we're in game week. I think this is about the third time that we're going through a lot of things, a lot of polishing. So I think Coach Day was, and Coach Mick with the workouts, but Coach Day was adamant about our preparation, being ahead, and not down here stressing and last minute going through things. We're not, by any means, this is not bowl week. This is playoff week. But we're very much, I think, ahead, as players would tell you, with the game plan, what's going on, playing a challenging team with a lot of great athletes and a lot of stress they bring in their structure. But we've worked really hard to be ahead and give our kids a chance to go out and be aggressive and play well Saturday night.
All right, we'll take our next question from all the way back to the left side.
Dom Taberi with WBNS TV in Columbus. CJ and Emeka and Kevin, indoor game, weather's not going to be a factor. How much would you think we'll see the ball in the air? Can you give us an idea? And do you see an opportunity there?
It's definitely a good feeling, not knowing that you don't have to deal with weather coming from Columbus or the Big Ten, where you're playing the Midwest, the majority of the time, with the East Coast, where weather is always a factor. So whatever it takes to win, I feel like is what we're gonna do. So if that's throwing the ball, if that's running it, if that's having a punt, whatever the case may be, we just want to win the game. So really just focus on that, just execution in those type of scenarios. And yeah, I think that definitely is a good thing to be playing in a really nice stadium. I think the atmosphere would be cool, so just really excited to play in that.
All right, staying on the left side here in the third row.
Jordan Hill with Dogs 247. Question for Kevin. A lot of talk about Georgia's tight ends, Brock Bowers and Darnell Washington. How unique is that challenge of trying to stop two tight ends of that caliber, and what stands out to you about those two guys?
You can hit Coach Knowles, and I just we're all kind of spread offenses. The game has evolved. I think, though, the last 5, 8, 10 years in college ball, if you don't have good tight end play, your quarterback's either going to have to throw it a whole lot or run a whole lot. And I think the tight end position just takes a lot of stress. And we have two of them. You can balance up either side of the formation. You can add width to one side of the formation when you put them in tandem, let alone guys like they have, which we do too, in the way Cade and Mitch and G has played. Those are, I think, the quarterback is what makes it go. You can do what the line can block. The receivers make, and the running backs make the dynamic plays. But I always felt in our world the tight end position connects the offense together. And I think both groups will be huge Saturday night as both teams attack each other.
All right, staying on the left side one more time in the back.
Yeah, Clay Hall, ABC 6, Fox 28. CJ, keep reading about how you were recruited by Georgia and Coach Smart had an in-home visit, et cetera. How did you regard them? How close was it? Were you high on the Bulldogs?
Yeah, I had a great recruitment with Georgia. I went on an official visit, and then I did have an in-home visit with him and Coach McGee. I think it was one other coach too. But yeah, it was they were very respectful. I enjoyed my time up there, met some of the players, and I think some of them still play for them now. So I have respect for them, and I think they have respect for me. I got to see him up at the Heisman with Stetson, so I got to talk to Coach Smart a little bit. He's a good dude, definitely a great coach. So nothing but respect from both sides, I feel. And it's kind of come around full 360 to be playing them now. So I'm excited to do that. And it was close, but I'm glad where I went, and I'll ride with that until I die. So, yeah, they were like second in my recruitment, but I feel I made the right decision to come into Ohio State.
All right, right side is stepping up. We'll go right here in the front row.
Yeah, Brooks Austin with Dogs Daily. CJ, I'm just curious, a coordinator change midway through the season. How have you and Coach Wilson gone about, establishing being on the same page, and where would you rank kind of your comfortability, just a month in?
There's no change. Coach Wilson has been doing the same thing he's been doing since I've been at school. They always find a clean game plan for us. So that's for the outside world that think that's confusing. Or Coach Wilson's been there every time I ask for him or need him or need something. Coach Wilson's there, so it's no confusion. That's probably for you guys. We've been doing the same thing that we've been doing. So, but yeah, he does a great job. I think he'll do a great job at Tulsa, and I told him that. He has that aura of a head coach, so I'm excited for him to go up there and do his thing.
All right, we're going to go back over to the left in the third row.
Yeah, Jed May with UGAsports.com. CJ, following up on your recruitment by Georgia, what do you remember about kind of the vision that Coach Smart and all them pitched to you for the Georgia offense when they were recruiting you? And when you see their offense now, how different is it maybe than the one you kind of envisioned yourself playing in at one point?
It was so long ago. Well, not that long ago. It was like 3-4 years ago. Kind of seems long ago. But, they were more so on the side of passing it a little more, because I think I am dynamic when it comes to throwing the ball down the field, staying in the pocket, working things like that. And, of course, they knew they were getting Darnell, who was in my class. And then they've always had a great defense with Keeley and dudes they had back then. So they were really excited to have an offensive attack as well as a really good defense. So that was kind of the pitch. And then Coach Cooley, who was a quarterback coach at the time, loved how kind of my footwork was and how I could still extend plays and make plays on the run and do things like that. So that was kind of the pitch.
All right, next we'll go over here, fourth row on the right.
Coach Wilson, Anthony Dasher, UGAsports.com. Just wondering how much you knew of Jalen Carter before you started turning the film on to prepare for this game, and now that you have, what are your impressions?
Well, one of the impressions are they have a lot of tremendous players. Always have. I think it just starts with their coaches, the way they recruit, and the emphasis of defense and the passion. A lot of times when you put on tape, you see great players. A lot of time when you put on tape, you see scheme and structure. But sometimes when you put on the great teams, you feel the tape, and you feel those guys on tape, and you feel them on tape. You feel the plays he makes and the way he can impact and influence games. So we have our hands full, not just with him, everyone. It's not like you can turn full focus there because there's other dynamic guys at one-on-one. So it's going to be a fist fight every play. We got our hands full. Just a lot of respect for their structure, the culture of the way they play, and most importantly, you feel their defense. And we're going to have to do our best to make sure that there's a chance that as we're playing, they feel us as we play this game, because it's not going to be a reactionary game. It's going to be an attack game both ways, two guys going at each other. A lot of respect for those guys.
Next, far left over here.
Doug Robertson, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. This is for Anyville. Georgia's pass defense gave up a lot of yards to LSU in the SEC title game. Y'all obviously have a lot of talent on offense. Do you feel you could take similar advantage?
Emeka, let's start with you this time.
I'm very confident in the talent we do have on offense, and I feel like when it comes to us playing any team in the nation, I feel confident with our guys and our ability to sling the rock. So, like CJ said, we're going to do all it takes to win, whether that's running or passing, but we're definitely aware of the talent that we have, and we're going to look to exploit it and make big plays whenever we can.
CJ?
We got to play Buckeye football, though. LSU do what LSU did. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure they're not just going to let us drop back and just do what we want to do. So, I'm pretty sure they've been watching film on us, make sure that that's something that they stop. And they probably think, I don't know what they think, but I know that that's probably what the outside world thinks, is that since LSU got to throw the ball against them really well, that we'll just go out there and do it. I'm pretty sure that they'll have a plan for that, and we'll have to be on our game just as better as they are. So that was good for LSU, but we got to go play Buckeye football and make sure it happens on Saturday for us.
All right. Coach?
Yeah, I just think, you look at those stats, but the result of the game was, they won the game by 20. So that wasn't necessarily the formula to win the game. And you wanted to make plays in both phases, and third down conversions and short yardage conversions, score zone conversions. You look at the history of championship football games, there's not a lot of 9-7, 13-10 ball games. And we got two great defenses going at each other, but there's playmakers on the offense, and when you look in the big-time plays, you got to score points. So we got to find a way not to have just yards passing or running. We got to find a way to get the ball in the end zone if we want a chance to win this game.
All right, next we'll go halfway back here on the right on the aisle.
Dan Matthews, 6A The Fan here in Atlanta. Do you guys feel like you've played a complete game this year, or as close to as possible? And if not, what do you think has kept you from that?
All right, start with Coach this time, please.
Yeah, we've played well. Complete game. I think you're always chasing perfection, which you never get. Only one perfect thing's been on this world, so you're chasing that. You're chasing it hard, and the game's not a game of perfect. And you're playing your best is your ability to just overcome and keep swinging and swinging and swinging. So we've gotten there, but I think our best is in front of us, and the way we've prepped, we're going to have a tremendous challenge. There's going to be some challenging, ugly plays Saturday night, but to get the outcome, we're going to go at it. And to me, that'll be, have we played our best game? Is how hard down the stretch in the big games we can play 4 quarters as hard as we can. Not trying to be perfect, because it's not going to be, and it doesn't have to be. But it has to be all we got. And that'll be, again, the challenge Saturday night, to say, okay, we played our best. I think we have a quote in our room, the old Theodore Roosevelt, where the critic goes to the one in the arena. I think Saturday night we can look at the arena when it's over and look at these men and say, hey, was that our best, and is that what it takes to win this game?
All right, next we'll go on the left side on the aisle.
Yeah, Jacob Benj with the Lantern. Just following up on that for Emeka and perhaps CJ, to hear your offense has to play its best football against Georgia, and for Emeka, when you think about yourself and Marvin, your first seasons as starters all the way through, what do you think about when you reflect just playing with Marvin, yourself in the lineup with CJ throwing you the ball? Just when you reflect on the season now that you're here, what do you think of first, and what do you and Marvin have left to show?
I think it's all conclusive. We have to play a complete game like you guys were talking about. In terms of, not just pass catching, but run blocking, making sure there's little to no mistakes, getting our play calling, and, just being great leaders. We always felt like Zone 6 has been, kind of one of the position groups on the team who has stepped up in big scenarios and made big plays. Not saying that anyone else can't do it, but, sometimes it's, we like to be the guys in those scenarios. So just making sure we're able to make those plays, and because, we're all confident in, the line being able to hold their blocks and the running backs doing their job, and CJ being able to, be a field general out there. So, and so what me and Marvin think, we're just, continue to stay locked in and making sure we have everything down pat, and we're going to give it our all on Saturday.
All right, next right here in the third row on the right.
Charles Odom with AP. For Coach Wilson, Georgia's gone with a committee approach at running back this season, and you have had to utilize your depth as well. How much of that has been by design? How much by necessity due to injury? And can you talk about Mayan Williams and how I understand he's had to deal with a leg injury, how he is for this game.
Yeah, it's most of it's been originally by design, but then with the injuries that we've had a couple times, those guys, they've all practiced well. Mayan had a really good go yesterday, the most work he's had to date. And as we build through this week, I think we'll see those guys playing and playing well. But I think you need more than one back. You need 2, sometimes 3 to play through the season. You need it to play through the games at receiver. Emeka and Marvin have got a lot of targets, a lot of notoriety, but they'll tell you we need receiver number 5 and 6 in every game stepping up playing championship football. So, there's not a starting 11 on our football team. We got about 17, 18, 19 guys really contributing at all those key spots. So the running back is a little bit like Georgia's, like a lot of good teams are playing 2 or 3. This year we've had to evolve where some guys have been in and out due to some of the minor injuries we've had. But going into this game, we're at full force, and those guys are going to need to take care of the ball and run as hard as they can. They're going to have to make some tough and some ugly yards in this game to keep us on schedule.
All right, we've got time for a few more in this session with this group. Next question. Okay, let's go right here on the right.
Question, Joey Coffin from the Columbus Dispatch. Kevin, for you personally, what's it been like to manage all the responsibilities you have, coordinating the offense, the game plan for this game, your new job last couple of weeks? Just is that tough to juggle? Other coaches I know, like Jeff Hafley did it in 19, but just what's it been like from your perspective?
Good. And I don't want to talk much about it because really the recruiting days that we had when the guys were recruiting, I was kind of dealing with the new opportunity. When we weren't recruiting, it was back here like I was here. I've been here since last Thursday. So now, pushing about 12 days directly with the team all the time. And really what's different from years ago is when there's a coaching change, you have to recruit your team so that everybody doesn't jump in the portal. So that was the issue, is like just trying to keep the guys on board. But I'm very compartmentalized. These guys know this. So when I'm on practice, it's all practice and it's full throttle. We're in the meetings. It's all meetings. So, there's probably 70% of the time has been on this bowl game. And the extra time's been late at night, like last night about 9:30. We started yesterday morning, about 7, got rolling. About 9:30 last night, I actually got to a couple things revolving about next year's job. Everything is with these guys. Coach Day's comment was, I am in this position because what these guys have done and the obligation. I said back in preseason, one of our goals was to get here and have a chance to be in this game and to be a part of this, and we want to have success in this game. So it's not been hard. It's been a lot of energy. And the total focus when it's been time to work is on these guys and giving us a chance to play well against a tremendous Georgia defense, and we're ready to roll.
All right, staying on the right side in the second row right here.
Andy Bax from Letterman Row. Emeka, just wondering from last year's experience, what did you take away from the Rose Bowl and now playing a bigger role in this offense? How do you take away from that experience and apply that now?
It was a little different because, there wasn't as much on the line, I feel. I felt like it was a good game for me to get my feet wet and understand what it's like to play on this scale. But this year is definitely different. I'm feeling more locked in, feeling more focused. And, I'm realizing as the days go on that it's going to take everything that we take, as a team. It's going to be, a hard-fought game to the fourth quarter. I'm not, I don't know what the score is going to be. I can't predict that. But I know that's going to take all 3 phases for us to be able to execute the way that we need to. So that was kind of something that carried on in the Rose Bowl. We were down at half. Had to come out at halftime and have a big second half where we're clicking on all cylinders. And there's going to be a moment in the Saturday's game where we're going to face adversity, and it's going to come down to how we handle that.
All right, over here to the left in the fourth row, please.
Connor Riley, Dog Nation. This is a question for CJ. Emeka and Marvin both had over 1,000 yards receiving this year. What's made them so successful and helped you, show that you guys are one of the best passing offenses in the country this year?
I definitely think their work ethic. Whenever I come into the facility, either they're there or they're coming, and they're coming with me or they're there by themselves. I'm the judge, and that kind of just shows you what type of work they put in. It's been like that since their freshman year, and I think that's kind of what's been paying off is just the work that they put in, and then really just how smart they are. Like they pick them on the offense really well. When they first got in here, it wasn't like a slouch from Chris and Garrett, Emeka and Julian and Marvin were the twos that year, and they were just as good or, better at times. I'm not saying they're better than Garrett and Chris, but, they were playing really good football to be freshmen. And I definitely think that when you come in with that type of attitude of like, I'm not just going to be here and try to learn, I'm going to be here and dominate, that's when you learn and that's when you become a great football player. So it hasn't been overnight. They've been good since their freshman year. They just didn't have an opportunity to really touch the field last season. So I definitely, the work that they put in and how they came in with that type of dog mindset has definitely paid off to have success this year and to continue to have success in the future.
All right, we've got time, I think, for 2 more. Any other questions? Amy? Okay, all the way back in the back, please, on the left.
Dom Taberry, WBNS. You guys are underdogs in this game. Have you embraced the underdog role, and do you understand the history of being an underdog for Ohio State in games like 2002, 2014?
Coach, start with you, please.
I don't know if we've talked as much about that. It's just the opportunity in front of us, Dom, and responding and practicing and prepping. We just had a question about Marvin and Emeka and CJ. Those are hands down maybe 2 of the best practice players on our team. And when guys practice and prep, and so to me, I have a lot of respect for, it's a prideful group, a prideful program, no matter what the underdog or spreads or all that stuff is, I guess, Dom. But I think our guys just take a lot of pride in chasing greatness and the way we prepped and prepared. And I think our guys are looking forward to the opportunity and challenge that Saturday presents. And I just enjoy walking on the field with those guys and the way they go about their business to give ourselves a chance to have success. It's a great group to practice with.
All right, CJ, thoughts on being the underdog?
This is football, so you got to go play football. I don't really think I haven't really put no thought to it. Like at the end of the day, I feel like we still Ohio State, we still the Buckeyes. So Georgia for a reason. So I mean, I definitely think that. Even talking to some of those dudes that I know on their team, it's been respect. I don't think that. I wouldn't say that I feel like an underdog. I don't feel like I do feel like people are counting us out, but that's fine. I mean, we've been counted out plenty of times. I'm pretty sure people have counted Emeka out in his life, and people have counted Coach Wilson out in his life, and people have counted me out. So, I mean, this isn't nothing new. I definitely think this is the path that God wanted us on, and I'm just rocking with that. So if that means that we the underdog, I'm cool with it. So, I mean, it's time to just mask up and go play football.
All right, we'll close out with Emeka.
You can look at the rankings and see that we're number 4, and look in the past and see what the past number 4 Ohio State team did. But at the end of the day, Georgia's a phenomenal team. They're 12-0. It's hard to go undefeated on a season, and they're the number 1 ranked team right now. But I can't speak for everyone, but for me personally, I don't feel like underdogs. There's never been a time where I stepped on the field and I felt a severe disadvantage to the player across from me. I haven't played Georgia yet, but I feel like with the confidence that we have as a team and our ability, like CJ said, we've been counted out before, so it's not nothing new to us. So we're just going to go out there on Saturday and play football like how we know how to play football.
It's been going good. Safe travels in here. First of all, coming out of Columbus, the weather was kind of pretty bad past couple of days, so got here safely, and I think we're just thankful for this opportunity to be able to compete for a national championship and go out there and play on a national stage like this.
All right, Paris?
Yeah, I mean, this is like really cool to be down here in Atlanta. My family moved down here recently, so it's really cool to see them too, and just be able to play on a big stage here and compete for a national championship.
All right, Chip?
I would say it's definitely been great since we've been here. It was good to go home for a little bit, see the family, but it's even better to be back with my teammates. So, but good to hit the reset button and go get the whole thing.
All right, thanks, gentlemen. All right, go ahead and jump right into questions. Raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. All right, let's start over here on the left in the 5th row, please.
This will be for Marvin. Kevin Wilson, CJ Stroud, Emeka Egbuka, they were all talking about how Ohio State and your offense will have to play its best football, its most complete football to go up against Georgia on Saturday. And I asked Emeka the same thing. When you think back on your season, your first season as full starter all the way through, and you reflect on your moments with Emeka. What do you think of? What comes to mind, and what do you still have to show as a wide receiver on Saturday against Georgia?
Yeah, I think we had a lot of fun this year. Just going out there playing with each other, playing with the brotherhoods, things like that. So we had a lot of fun. Obviously, we didn't complete any of our goals this year yet so far. So obviously, still a lot of work to be done. Just go out there and have fun and compete.
All right, third row on the left.
And Jordan Hill with Dogs 247. Question for Paris: what stands out to you about Georgia's defensive line and just the challenge going up against those guys on Saturday?
Yeah, they have a strong defensive line, and I believe that's probably one of the strongest units on the defense, of course. And I think it's like a matchup game up front. I think, of course, they have Stackhouse and Carter, and, they have 13, 33, and 90 on the outside that rotate a lot, along with 32. And I think that's a solid group, and they rotate a lot, and I would say their twos are almost as good as their ones. So I think it's a respectable matchup. Is definitely not. There's not anybody on their line that you overlook in terms of doing your preparations for.
All right, next we're right here in the front row.
Marvin, Evan Kroll with Dogs Daily. You carry the name Marvin Harrison. Your dad played in a lot of big football games, but this is kind of your first opportunity to show not just the college football world, but the entire world who you are. What do you want the world to know about Marvin Harrison Jr., not just Marvin Harrison?
I'm my own player, first and foremost. My dad, he did great things. I'm just trying to be myself and go out there and make a name for myself and be the best receiver that I can be.
Yeah, Brooks Austin with Dogs Daily. Paris, you rattled off all those defensive linemen. How do you go about studying 6, 7 different guys? And are you taking their best move? Are you seeing where their weaknesses are? How are you going about evaluating each individual opponent?
Yeah, so usually during regular season, I only have about 4 days to do so with like a lot of guys to look at. So for me, I like to look at maybe their last 5 games, or what I would think their best 5 opponents, or if there's a tackle that I respect for another school they played, then those be the big games that I study a lot. But in terms of the bowl time, with all the days off that we had, I feel like I was able to take a look at all their games a lot while still, having to focus on the tackles that I thought were probably the best matchups that gave me the best looks at, how they played.
All right, far right side over here.
Hey, Sarah Spencer with the AJC. My question's for Marvin. When you look at this Georgia defense, what are the biggest things that stand out to you, particularly what's jumped out to you on film about this Georgia secondary that you'll be going against?
Yeah, they play very fast, they play physical. I think one thing, they have a lot of confidence in themselves to make plays. That's what great players have. Confidence in themselves that they're going to trust their instincts and trust their abilities to go out there and make plays, and they've made plays all year for them. So we're just going to have to match their energy. Whether that's in the run game or the pass games, because the receivers have to go out there and make plays and compete.
All right, all the way back on the left.
Yeah, Marvin, Dom Taberi, WBNS TV, back in the back. How are you, my friend?
Good, how are you?
Just your feeling about playing indoors. The weather's not going to be a factor. It's going to be a fast track. Does that give you guys a little bit of an advantage with the weaponry you have on offense?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's an advantage because they get to play indoors too. And if anything, they played in the stadium more than we have, so I think the advantage will go to them. But it's definitely nice to be able to play indoors, and weather's not going to be a factor. In the pass game, we kind of do what we want to do.
Next question. Where are we going next? All right, right here.
Cody Chaffins from Fox 5 in Atlanta. And anybody can answer, but Georgia, their last half that they played was against LSU, where LSU put up a lot of yards and a lot of points. Is there anything in that can be a blueprint for you guys as you get ready for Saturday?
Chip, let's start with you this time.
I think that whole game, it was just a good game to overall analyze. Georgia's here for a reason. We're here for a reason too, but their defense is very stout, so we believe that we have to have our best game on offense, and I think we're on pace to do that with the practices we've been having. But overall, just from watching that game, LSU did some good things against them, so there's definitely a chance. Coach Day always preached, it's always a chance. Just no matter how hard you work, it's always going to be a chance when we show up on game day.
All right, Paris?
I agree with Chip that watching the game, there were a lot of things like the blueprint that they use to gain yards, but also I feel like the main thing that I look at is to do exactly what some team, to do like the opposite of what the teams did, right? So there was a lot of clips I watched where there was a breakdown in the run game immediately that resulted in the negative runs, and maybe there was a lack of protection from one of the guards really early on. So I think looking at those, for me as a lineman, I like to look at the negatives as a lesson to learn before it happens. So I think those things that I saw from that game in particular were great lessons, not just for myself, but for the entire offensive line room, for this game.
And Marvin?
I think at the end of the day, we just got to go out there and play our own ball. Obviously, LSU did what they did, and other teams like Missouri who gave them a good battle, played their game. So I think we just got to go out there and play our game. We have confidence in ourselves that we're going to make things work and go out there and compete. So I don't think we have to take too much from other teams. Obviously, we have to watch the film and see how other teams succeeded, but just worry about ourselves and know what we can do.
All right, let's stay on the left side all the way back again.
Dom Tiberi, guys, this is for all of you, WBNS TV. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but you are underdogs in this game. It is a home game pretty much for Georgia. We are in Atlanta. Do you feel like it's you guys against the world in this game? How big of an advantage is that for Georgia?
Marvin, start with you this time, please.
I think we kind of always thought it was Ohio against the world, even before this game. So nothing really changes. I know me personally, I'm glad we could play them, in Atlanta, in their kind of home arena. Kind of always like being, the villain and the underdog going into the game. So I'm definitely excited to be able to do that.
Paris?
Yeah, I agree with Marvin on that. This is how you want to play Georgia here at their house, pretty much. So, and yeah, since I've been here, it's pretty much been Ohio against the world. So I think this game even exemplifies that as well, with the circumstances, what you said.
All right. Chip, thoughts on being the underdog?
I think overall the team likes it a lot. At this point, we have nothing to lose, so we're just here for a reason. I think everybody counts us out, but at the same time, this is what you take on the Buckeye name for. So we're all here to put our best foot forth and just go win the whole thing.
All right, we're going to go in the second row right here on the right.
Andy Bax from Letterman Row. This one's for Chip. Do you feel like a different running back now that you have switched and played linebacker full time? And like, what did you take away from that experience? Do you see defenses differently? How did that influence you?
I feel like it's definitely helped. Everything happens for a reason. Ultimately, first didn't come here for running back just because it was the biggest offer on the table for me at the time. But I definitely feel like it helps every time when I'm scanning every play. Definitely grateful to Coach Knowles and Coach Coy for the time I did spend in the room. But I'm also grateful for these guys that I have on offense. Ever since I've been back on offense, it's just been getting nothing but praise and confidence from my teammates, and that ultimately helps me. But I've just been grateful to be back at this position and ultimately doing whatever I can for the team.
All right, right here in the front.
Yeah, Brooks Austin with Dogs Daily. Big Ten versus SEC. The word physicality gets brought up a lot in these types of matchups. Have you guys been doing anything to, quote-unquote, ramp up the physicality in the month leading up to this? And is that something you can instill within a month, or is that something you've worked on all year?
Marvin, start with you, please.
Yeah, I think this is how the game of football is played. You got to play it, in a physical way. I don't think we've really done anything different than we've been doing all year. We kind of have emphasized physicality throughout the whole, all season, leading into the season. Starting on Coach Mick in the weight room, and just the kind of the practices and drills he kind of did, over time, kind of prepared us for this moment. So I'm going to say if we did anything different, you just got to go out there and play physical, but it also takes a lot of technique and skill to win the games just as well. So it's going to take a collective of things.
Yeah, the physicality is the most important thing, is the biggest factor in this game, but by far. And I think as an offensive lineman, like, that is the best thing to hear, knowing that the only factor, like the best way to compete for, Chip and for Marvin to do their job is for me to just out physical the guy across from me, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like during this bowl prep, we've put in a lot of time trying to work our skill and our technique and our discipline. So when it's time for us to be out there, it's a second nature, and then all we have to do is to rely on just being able to go after a guy in front of you. You know what I mean? Because that's what it's going to take to beat them.
All right, Chip.
I feel like when you're a Buckeye, this is all you ask for. Our schedule or our practice plans have been divvy. The main thing in our program is toughness and fight. So I feel like when it comes down to the nitty-gritty and you telling us that's all we got to do, I mean, that's what we're confident in, because that's where we go back to the basics and we just going back to the building blocks. That's all the mat drills, that's all the winter workouts, and that's everything we put forth and to get here at this very moment. So I feel like giving us that advantage, we're definitely comfortable with that.
All right, time for a few more. Next question, where are we going? Anybody? Okay. All the way in the back on the left, please.
Do you guys feel like bragging rights is on the line, SEC versus the Big Ten? And, you got two Big Ten teams in the playoff. You feel like there's something to be proven here?
Chip, start with you this time, please.
Me personally, I don't think we're worried about bragging rights. At the end of the day, I think all the bragging rights just go into who holding up the national championship trophy at the end of all of this when it's all said and done. So I think the main goal is just to get to that final game.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that once since we heard about this matchup at all. I think the only thing that's been on our minds is Georgia. And I think, for it to be anything else in the Big Ten and SEC is not necessary.
Yeah, I'm just going to echo what they said, really. This is like conference football right here. No matter who, Big Ten, SEC, ACC, Pac-12, Big 12, whoever is playing, it's just going to be Ohio State versus Georgia.
All right, time for a couple more. Next question. All right, I got one for you guys. If you guys win this game, I think you're going to be the first team to win all 6 New Year's 6 bowl games. Is that a point of pride for the program? What thoughts go through your mind of being the only team to have that opportunity?
I didn't even know that was a stat, first of all, so thank you for enlightening me on that. That'd be very nice. Credit to all the teams in the past that have won the other bowl games, and we're trying to do our part. I did know this was our first time in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, so like I said, we're thankful for the opportunity. Go get a chance to make history. It's very good.
Yeah, well, like Marvin said about, being in the Woody, I think the first question that we all ask, I mean, I don't know about everybody, but for me, I ask a lot of questions sometimes about stuff in the Woody. But we don't have any years on a Peach Bowl sign in our facility, so I think, just being able to have a chance to be the first team on the list, for all the rest teams that come in the future would be like a really cool thing to have, and especially the first one in the country to have all 6 would be special.
All right, we'll make sure we get one of those to you. All right, Chip, what about you?
I think it's definitely grateful for us to be down here at the Peach Bowl. I think Atlanta's a beautiful city. But at the end of the day, I just know the whole Buckeye fan base and the whole Buckeye world. It's only one trophy that matters at the end of the day. So,
all right, fair enough. All right, we've got a couple more minutes with these guys. Any final questions? Okay, let's go on the aisle here on the left.
Jacob Bench with the Lantern. Chip, just following more up on that, to play for Ohio State is your first season since transferring. You're an Ohio native and whatnot. What has that meant to you this season, and now to wear the scarlet and gray in the college football playoff against the #1 team? Just to play for Ohio State, being an Ohio native, what has that meant to you all season?
All season, it's just been grateful. Me being back in the state of Ohio, really just playing ball. I so crazy. I really don't even get nerves anymore, just because I'm so prideful. To even be back here, putting on a scarlet and gray, and putting on a Buckeye helmet. But at the end of the day, it's definitely good just to be along with guys like Paris and other guys that's from Ohio. You definitely get that culture, and you get that sense of pride on the team, and that's what we carry with us, and that's what you come here to stay for. So.
Okay, right here, second row on the right.
Marvin, I meant to ask you out there, just more a question for next year probably, but what have you seen in Kyle McCord in bowl practice, maybe late in the year, that obviously he could be the guy next year's competition? Yeah. What have you seen from him late this year?
Yeah, I think he's getting better each and every day. He practices really hard. He knows that's his game reps pretty much throughout the whole year in practice, but hopefully if something happens to CJ, him or Devin, each can go in there. I think we have confidence in both of them, coaches and players. They can go in there and make a play. So I'm not really worried about next year. I think we'll kind of get to that when that time comes. But I know Devin and Kyle can both go in there and make plays. They've been practicing really hard all week.
All right, time for one more. Anybody? Last chance. Okay, final question here. Left side on the aisle, please.
Jacob Benj with the Lantern. For all three of you, Kevin Wilson talked a lot about having to balance, preparing to be the next head coach at Tulsa while also being the offensive coordinator for your offense. I'm curious, just from all three of your perspectives, what have you seen working with Kevin Wilson the last couple of weeks since he's taken the new job, and just what has he meant to you guys just this season and throughout your careers at Ohio State as well?
All right. Chip, let's start with you, please.
I've actually had the chance to know Coach Wilson ever since my sophomore year of high school, so I think Coach Wilson is a great guy. Well, I think we're all definitely happy for him to get a head coaching job at Tulsa. That's every coach's dream, just to get a head coaching job. But definitely, every coach that we have on staff is definitely putting their best foot forward for this game and putting everything into the bag.
Yeah, Coach Wilson has been a friend of the family since before I was born. He coached my dad at Miami, Ohio. So I think for him, at least for me, like some people could say, like, oh, how could you leave Ohio State? But for me, I feel like I have the perspective of also just wanting to see people win, and I want people to be happy and be able to continue, to do what, wakes him up in the morning. I think that's a great opportunity for him, and excited for him with that. And I think he's definitely, when he took the job down there and he came back to practice, he was, you just see the smile and just the juice that he had to just, to really just leave it all out there, because this is his final run with Ohio State. So just to, leave it all out there, and I think it's been a great energy in the Woody, All
right. Marvin?
Yeah, I'm definitely proud of Coach Wilson. Big go out there and to continue on his coaching career and to be a head coach. I kind of see him every day in the Woody. He's always holding his little coffee cup, and he's always speaking to me. We just have good conversations. So I'm very grateful to have a coach like that. Help me in the run game a little bit and blocking. Like I said, I'm very proud of him. He's going to do great things at Tulsa.